Breaking right now at 6, crews are battling an intense brush fire in Golden Gate Estates. You are watching chopper crews picking up water in the Valencia Lakes neighborhood and dropping it over the flames.
Here's a look inside the fire zone. Intense flames right up against this road. This fire has burned at least 100 acres, and the windy conditions are making it tough for firefighters to get it under control. Crews are evacuating several blocks in Golden Gate Estates. 3 homes are already damaged. You can see the line of cars down Wilson Boulevard North. The evacuation zone stretches down Wilson Boulevard between 24th and 47th Avenues. Hundreds of people are impacted by this. Thank you for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kyla Gaylor. This is just one of a dozen fires burning across Southwest Florida right now, from Northport to Cape Coral and Hendry County. I want to take a live look now at the fire in Cape Coral. You're looking at the view from the Edison Grand in downtown Fort Myers. You can see smoke rising in the distance and just kind of a hazy view all around. NBC2 has team coverage throughout the area as crews try to control these fires. First Alert meteorologist Rob Duns is tracking those windy conditions, and we have NBC2 reporter Alicia Alonso in Cape Coral.
But first, let's go to Ryan Wbbh. He is right near that evacuation zone on Wilson Boulevard in Golden Gate Estates. Ryan?
Peter, what we know right now is that this fire is growing. It's up to about 100 acres with only about 10% containment. That containment has not changed since we spoke to you last at 5 and 5:30. Now, we spoke to the Greater Naples Fire Rescue Chief earlier, and he told me that he is sending every resource across Lee and Collier counties here to this spot to battle this fire. Now, we've seen representatives from San Carlos Park, Marco Island, FWC, FHP, LCSO, and more barrel through this exact police barricade to get to that scene. We also know 3 homes have been burned so far. We have no word on any of those were fatalities. And cars are back down for at least a mile down the street on Wilson and 14th Avenue Northwest. Now, I want to get to the evacuations, but let's take some video that we shot earlier to show exactly what this looks like from the sky. Evacuations include Jung Boulevard, 16th Avenue Northwest, 18th, 20th, 22nd, and 24th Avenues Northwest, and Immokalee Road has also been shut down. And for those people that have had to evacuate, Max Haas Community Park has been opened as an evacuation center. Now, we have crews all over Collier County covering this wildfire, north of Everglades Boulevard, north of Immokalee Road, and here at 14th Avenue Northwest and Wilson Boulevard. We'll make sure to keep you updated as soon as we learn more information on fighting this fire.
It is quite unbelievable that it has been so long, and yet sometimes it feels like it was just yesterday.
It is hard to imagine it has been 6 months since Southwest Florida changed forever.
What we saw was complete devastation. It's almost hard to put into words.
More than 50,000 homes damaged or destroyed in Lee County alone.
When I look around and see the homes that were totally destroyed, or, water up over the kitchen tables and so forth, I personally was very lucky.
33,000 forced out of their homes and into shelters.
Some people still don't got beds. They're sleeping on the floor. Some people still don't have power.
But there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Our beaches are cleared.
It's a big thing for us to go down and watch the sunsets.
Businesses are opening their doors again.
So it's really neat to see that energy back at the marina.
And although the road to recovery is long,
you know what we have ahead of us, but where we've come is extraordinary and Herculean.
There is still hope we will build back better than before.
6 months, although it is still very painful for us, we feel like there's hope.
That hope is keeping us going as we rebuild from the worst storm to ever hit Southwest Florida. Thank you so much for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns, and the symbol of hope is right behind me. Sanibel's iconic lighthouse relit last month, 5 months after the hurricane took out the light, took out one of its legs, washed away all of the 3 cottages around it, the lightkeeper's cottage and the other 2 cottages, yet it still stands there today with a temporary leg, a symbol and a beacon of hope for all of Southwest Florida, really. 6 months ago, I would have been under about 5 feet of water. They got 10 feet of storm surge, at least on this part of the beach. A lot of Sanibel's beaches are washed away, but 5 of the 7 beaches on this island are reopened. There's not a lot of spring breakers out here. This isn't your typical March, but we did see boaters coming up on the island today. And when I drove across the causeway, it was really emotional because I had been fearful of Southwest Florida's weather for quite some time, and this gave me hope. It just was a beautiful, beautiful day, so we will recover. Well, Fort Myers Beach took the brunt of the hurricane. They got 15 feet of storm surge. That reduced most homes and businesses on the beach just to rubble and pilings. It's hard to even tell where you are. There are no markings. We sent NBC2's Trent Bennett to the beach to gauge their recovery. And I know so many people were suffering from the storm. I know, my parents are still living with us to this day until their home is restored. But I just have some advice to people: try to get out and see the beach. I haven't been to the beach since the hurricane, and this has just really renewed my spirit and made me love this community all over again. It's beautiful out here tonight.
It still is, and people still keep coming here for that reason. You know, we've been bringing you these stories for the past 6 months, and we're going to bring them to you for the next 6 months and beyond as we all get through this together.
NBC2 News at 6.
I am shocked. I was looking on my phone first before I came out, and I said, I've never seen a warning about air quality here. I thought it was just fog.
From Inglewood to Everglades City and everything in between, a thick haze has blanketed all of our neighborhoods today. Welcome to the NBC2 studios in central Fort Myers. We are on the roof. We have a clear shot of downtown Fort Myers, but you can't see anything today. Thanks for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. You probably saw it when you woke up this morning and thought it was fog, but it's actually smoke.
I thought, oh my God, what's that? I thought, must be the dew or the mist from overnight. And then I thought, well, the sun's been out long enough. Then I wasn't sure what the heck it was.
I've never seen that, and I thought, we're in Florida. We're sticking out in the water. You know, we're supposed to be in fresh air.
It's not from a local burn. The smoke traveled some 1,500 miles south from wildfires raging in eastern Canada for the past couple of months.
NBC2 First Alert meteorologist Rob Duns is tracking the smoke and when it should clear up.
Yeah, you know, from the perspective right now of the radar tower here in the city of Fort Myers, you can barely even see across the river at some of the high-rises and mid-rise buildings in parts of North Fort Myers. So really quite something here. As unhealthy as the air quality report right now in every single backyard in Lee County, and that goes for every single part of our community that's shaded in red right now, as air quality will stay low for the rest of the night tonight and even into early tomorrow as well. But we do have some good news on the horizon here. As you look at where this is all coming from, like Kelly mentioned, fires in eastern Canada, helped by an area of high pressure here over the Great Lakes, is just funneling a big chunk of that hazy air right towards central and south Florida. And this year has been a terrible year for wildfires in Canada. That yellow line shows you in hectares the average over the past 10 years and how much of Canada burns every year. What's in red is what's burned this year. And unfortunately, a lot of the fires this year have happened in the province of Quebec in eastern Canada as compared to the west. That's another reason why we're seeing more smoke from the fires this year in Florida than we have in years past. Now, like you mentioned, even though a lot of this haze sticks with us for the rest of the night tonight, the breeze should pick up out of the east and northeast tomorrow and push the highest concentration of smoke away from us tomorrow. So there could be some areas of poor air quality during the first few hours of the day. By this time tomorrow, things should be much, much better. Back to you.
Some schools actually decided to cancel outdoor activities and sports after school. It leads to the question, is all this smoke impacting our health? The air quality index in Southwest Florida got as high as 162 today. Doctors say that's very unhealthy for people who are older than 65 years and those with breathing issues.
NBC2 News at 3.
Breaking news right now at 3 o'clock. 5 friends are dead after the car they were in crashed into a Fort Myers retention pond overnight. Police say all 5 were teenagers. We know some worked at the Texas Roadhouse restaurant not far from the crash site at the Shops at Village Walk. This crash happened in that retention pond. It's right by Top Golf near I-75 in Colonial. Really heartbreaking news we're following this afternoon, but we're glad you're with us. I'm Kyla Gaylor.
And I'm Trent Bennett. Police are still trying to figure out when the car crashed and how it ended up in one of those ponds, as Kyla said. We have live team coverage from the scene. We spoke with one of the victims' families about the heartbreaking crash. First, let's go straight to NBC2's Christy Soto.
Trent, Kyla, it is just heavy out here to know 5 teenagers died in this pond right over my shoulder. I was here talking to mothers of some of the kids that were inside of that car. I spoke to one woman who was in tears hugging her husband, knowing that her son died right here at this pond. I mean, we're talking 5 teenagers that were 18, 19 years old. Some of them just graduated high school. I mean, they had their whole lives ahead of them, and it was cut short. We have been following this since 8 o'clock this morning when Fort Myers police were telling us that they were just investigating some type of incident that happened here on Topgolf Way, to then at 12:15 when Fort Myers police held a press conference telling us that 5 teenagers died in a tragic crash here at this pond. I mean, even the officers, when they were talking to us and telling us what happened here, they were choking up. I mean, it was just heartbreaking.
Hurricane Idalia made landfall along the coast of Florida's Big Bend near Keaton Beach as a strong Category 3 storm around 7:45 this morning.
NBC2 anchor Ellen Campbell is in Perry, Florida, just about 20 miles away from where the storm made landfall. Ellen.
Well, Kelly and Peter, you know, the people here in Perry are really starting to come together. They're not wasting any time as a community coming together to clear up the debris and any of the damage that was left behind. In fact, just about 10 minutes or so ago, this road that's right beside me here, it was covered with trees. But there was a gentleman who brought his tractor down and actually cleared out all the trees and all the debris so that cars can go through here. The lady that is going into this home over here, look at her front yard. Look at all the debris that is on top of her roof. It's a common sight here in this small American town where we're seeing a lot of debris, branches, trees scattered all over people's houses. And unfortunately, take a look at this. This is another thing we're seeing a lot here in the town of Perry. These trees that are uprooted and blown over, laying literally all over people's yards and on the roadways. But I really want to bring your eyes and your attention to this over here. Those winds were so strong from Hurricane Idalia when it came here on shore, probably about 110, 120 miles per hour, ripped this tin roof right off of this business here, and then toss that tin roof across over here, maybe about 75 yards in front of the Postal Service here in Perry, in front of a major thoroughfare, US 221. But you know what? As I mentioned earlier, the people here in Perry, they are coming together. They know the importance of being together as a community and helping each other out, similar to what we are doing in Southwest Florida nearly a year after Hurricane Ian, as we also continue to rebuild. But I want to show you something here that stood up to Hurricane Idalia. Mitch, can you zoom in on that? That is a sign of hope here for the people in Perry. That is Old Glory, high above on that pole, stood there the entire time and is flying right now in the wind. If there's anything that says that this city, the people here in Perry will rebuild, it's that sign of the American flag right there.
And I want to give you a different perspective. Right now, you can see you're eye level with me, and I am standing on the surface level. This is exactly where the road once was. Now what I want to show you is I'm going to safely move down here and slowly, because, you know, it is a little bumpy out here. But right now, this is about 2 feet below surface level. But the closer and closer we get to the Gulf, I just dropped another foot, that's about 3 feet below surface level. The closer and closer we get to the Gulf, you can just see that these massive pieces of concrete slabs are sitting at below 5 feet below surface level. And it just shows you a little bit of the damage, especially because this side of the road is closest to the Gulf, which means it was getting hit the hardest by the Gulf waves. You could just see that there are some people who are still walking across this road here. And again, just like Kelly and Peter said, this is just a little north of Blind Pass Beach.
It is day 3 of NBC2's First Alert Hurricane Week, and the focus of today is wind.
It is. That's right. We have NBC2 anchor Peter Bush. He's live in Charlotte County. He's speaking to an expert about how you can recover financially after a storm. Peter.
And not just recover after the storm, but prepare financially before the storm. We have Katie Harmon from Wbbh Credit Union with us. Thank you so much for joining us. The first thing we noticed when we came to this community is that the older mobile homes had a lot more damage than the newer mobile homes. This is a perfect example. I mean, this is one of the older mobile homes in this community. The roof was ripped off from this side, and you can see it was kind of like opening a can of soup from one end to the other. The other side still has a roof, but this side was ripped off, which makes perfect sense because of the wind direction that day, right?
Most certainly. You know, what's the odd part, though, is here and where we're at in Charlotte County, we're on the north side of the storm, which we talk about that left side, right side of the storm. Right side's always the stronger side, but it was that back left corner, which usually is a lot lighter and a lot weaker, but it wasn't the case with Hurricane Ian. And you can see this right here because based on where this roof peeled back, that would have been a more northwesterly wind, ripping it back off towards the south and east. So it just goes to show, again, those winds that on the back side of the storm were just as potent, if not stronger than that front half of the system, because you don't really see as much of roofs peeled back towards the southwest.
And I've talked to engineers before who say, you know, they've actually made tremendous improvements in designing buildings for the wind. They can't do much about storm surge other than, you know, raise them up a little bit. But in terms of wind speeds, they've gotten really good at making improvements, making these buildings much stronger for hurricanes.
Most certainly, and we've seen that in other parts of Charlotte County. I mean, comparing this to 2004, massive damage with wind. But in Charlotte County, I mean, we had extensive damage, but not everywhere in Charlotte County. Some places were a tad bit better now. And in fact, some of the researchers at FIU are using wind turbines to test new buildings. And with more on that, we'll send things over to our NBC2 First Alert meteorologist, Jason Dunning.
The wind can be a cool ocean breeze or the sound of disaster. Now a team in Miami is working to make our homes stand up to future threats.
The engineers here were able to actually create a hurricane wind, hurricane conditions. It's a very rare facility that, through the engineering, was able to now create a wind that would hit a structure, and now we can test it for its resilience.
It's called the Wall of Wind. Behind these doors, wind engineers at Florida International University can simulate a Category 5 hurricane. They use these 12 giant fans. Each one weighs as much as an African elephant. The mission, to see what can stand up or which ones fail. In 1992, Hurricane Andrew exposed serious flaws in Florida's building codes. That can be seen in real time, testing a roof with pre-Andrew codes and post-Andrew codes. 30 years later, the team at the Wall of Wind is finding techniques to hold up against the Andrews, Irmas, and Ians of the world. Engineers tested this model of a home in Category 4 conditions, even simulating wind-driven rain. On one side of the model, metal shutters, hurricane straps reinforcing the roof to the wall, and a front door that swings out instead of in. On the other side of the model, no reinforcement.
We spin it around, and within a short amount of time, catastrophic failure. So it showed just the simple mitigation techniques at low dollar costs can make a big difference.
Now it's about innovating, even using the wind to our benefit. That's a horizontal wind turbine attached to the side of a roof. That swirling motion not only deflects wind, it can generate electricity.
10 years from now, looking back to say, we saw it coming, but we didn't do anything about it. Well, now we are being proactive to stay ahead of the curve.
Protecting paradise to better withstand the forces of Mother Nature. Meteorologist Jason Dunning, NBC2.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, very.
Wind turbines on the side of your house.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, generates power for your house and helps protect it against hurricanes.
Yeah, definitely thankful for that kind of research.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alan Campbell, coming at you live on this Thursday morning from North Shore Park in beautiful North Fort Myers as we continue our NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Week. And today we are focusing on the science behind the storm. Now, some of you may have just moved here to Southwest Florida, or you've been here for a few years like myself. Yes, we've all heard about hurricanes, but we don't really understand what exactly they are, or even why they form. We don't understand the difference between a tropical system, a tropical storm, or tropical depression. NBC2 First Alert meteorologist Lauren Hope is breaking it all down for us.
To understand why hurricanes form, you first have to recognize that our Earth is on a 23.5-degree tilt. That means that as the Earth orbits the sun, we are actually seeing differential heating. That sets off a massive imbalance. So the Earth is constantly working to find that balance. One of those ways that can help cool our planet back down, developing tropical systems. Here's how this starts. You first need a moist air mass. You need sea surface temperatures at or above 80 degrees. That less dense, warmer air will begin to rise, generating some clouds and storms. As we see outside air rushing in, we see even more storms develop and eventually an area of low pressure, and there's more organization. Now, initially, you see a tropical system developing. You're looking for a tropical depression. This has winds sustained at 39 miles per hour or less. Once you get to that 39-mile-per-hour mark, if there's no other hindrance, you see that intensify to a tropical storm with winds up to 73 miles per hour. If there's no further interruptions, we see a hurricane develop. In this stage, an eye may form. Hurricane Ian's size was 500 miles wide. That stretched way above the average of just 300 miles. A hurricane has winds at over 74 miles per hour. If we don't see any other disruptions, a major hurricane can develop. That is Category 3, 4, or 5 with winds sustained at 115 miles per hour or greater. In studio, meteorologist Lauren Hope, NBC2.
All the preparations in the world never could have prepared any of us for what we are about to go through.
Welcome to our continuous coverage, and we are committed to stay on the air for you.
We are experiencing this hurricane the same way that you are.
Our team of meteorologists back here, there's no one better. Trust us. You can trust them.
It's going to be slower, and that's why our rainfall totals and our storm surge problem could be significant.
That wind just kept churning and churning.
It's the sound of the river running through the bottom floor.
I had to break into the upstairs apartment so I could be safe.
So this is in Fort Myers Beach on Cutlass Drive?
Yeah.
564 Cutlass Drive. It's 4 of us. 4 of us? On Cutlass Drive, and you're on the 2nd floor already?
Yeah.
Then Thursday,
it was 5 hours of just pure hell.
Revealed the road ahead. The iconic places we love and we're known for.
We got complacent because of what happened with Irma. We got complacent and we thought it never could happen here. And this was, in fact, the perfect storm.
Destroyed.
It was horrifying. Literally watching everything wash away.
Lake bombs got dropped through there. You know, the roads are all just gone. The houses are totally destroyed. It's just looks like tinker toys thrown all over the place. Devastation. I mean, I've never seen such destruction. Just praying for all those people.
The tragedy.
Everything's, completely gone. Completely shocked that it happened. We didn't prepare for 18-foot surges.
Didn't end with Ian.
I think finally realizing that our neighbor's okay, because we thought when we came, we thought he was dead.
The days ahead.
Oh my God.
Filled with rescues. Realizations.
I can't put it into words. We have to be thankful to be alive.
And recovery.
We're here for anybody that needs assistance.
Our community, our coastline, change forever. But as we move forward,
the resilience is there.
The signs are there. The hope is there.
We'll rebuild this community. It will be rebuilt.
I'm Kelly Burns with Peter Bush and Allison Ray. We're live on Fort Myers Beach for the one-year anniversary of the hurricane. And, man, it's been quite a year. Driving down here was kind of emotional, just looking around. In some areas, there was so much progress. In some areas, it looked like the storm had passed through the day before and nothing. So we're here to kind of remind you of what we endured that day, but also look forward. And we have so many stories of resilience and people who just, it brought this community together.
Yeah, I mean, this was the defining moment for Southwest Florida. Even if you've lived here for 100 years, there has never been an event that changed this community more than this.
And so many people, you know.
Yes, widespread.
Widespread devastation and so many people impacted in different ways. So it is nice to hear people's stories of, we all got through this, you know, we just did it maybe in different ways.
Yes.
And you're going to hear those stories.
Dear Natalie.
Dear Dana.
Dear Allison.
As I sit down to write this letter, I cannot help but reflect on the incredible journey we've been on since the hurricane struck.
Up until August of 2022, your life will have been seemingly okay. Your world will stop when your dad dies unexpectedly on August 20th. And before you have a chance to try to start your new normal, one of the biggest storms of your career is stirring the Caribbean.
You have mixed emotions September 27th, the day before Hurricane Ian hits. You send the kids to Miami with your parents. It happens to be Catalina's birthday, your daughter. Your neighbors are all staying home, so it keeps you somewhat calm.
The mood is one of anticipation, tinged with apprehension, however, a sense of preparedness.
You imagine your dad calling before the storm to say, "Be safe down there," in the most stereotypical Western Pennsylvanian way. You know, lots of love behind just a few simple words with a tinge of worry.
The next day, you're watching the news, and apparently this storm has shifted, and it'll be landing in Fort Myers Beach. Your heart sinks, and you become nervous, because you honestly don't know what to expect. Natalie, you're going to go through the most terrifying experience of your life.
The storm surge is only continuing to rise. We are not even at the peak, folks.
The day the hurricane hit was unlike any other we had experienced. The mood shifted dramatically as the storm made landfall.
Deep breaths, limit your caffeine, stop nervously twisting your hair, and just inform. Calm, clear, factual.
You're going to have to get out of your house at this point and just try and hold on for dear life.
You leave a home in the middle of a Category 5 hurricane, alone, to the front door neighbor's house. You had to, because the water was already waist high in your home. All I can say is God will be with you. You'll be very nervous and scared while the water begins to rise in your neighbor's house. Just looking at your dream home going underwater will break your heart. But the hardest part of the whole situation is when you feel like you and your husband are going to eventually drown. Just pray. Your husband's going to keep you calm, but just keep praying.
You were horrified as you watched complete destruction floating down your road.
Is that the church?
A deafening roar as the roof peeled away, and loud gunshot sounds as the windows busted out. But when the water level stopped rising at 9 feet, your fears quickly turned to your parents, riding out the storm in their one-story house, knowing they were in water well above their heads. You'll never forget the last phone correspondence with them when they told you they were safe at that time, floating on their mattress.
Ian's wrath will be like nothing you've ever witnessed. Your life, your neighbors' lives, just got turned upside down.
You can't comprehend having everything one day and gone the next, just like that.
This has an Armageddon type feel to it, folks.
And this was, in fact, the perfect storm.
As soon as the storm ends and the sun begins to rise, you quickly start on your mile trek to find your parents. The moment you begin to breathe again will be when you pass someone who told you an older couple was alive in a house just up the road. It was then you will find the energy to sprint to find your parents alive, not well, but alive. While your father has always been your hero, you will discover through this experience that he is stronger than you could ever imagine, beating all the odds of survival of him and your mother.
Your friends will swarm to help you and your husband to clean up. You feel loved and everything's gonna be okay. And it will be okay, but not for a while. There will be a time, and it's a lonely time, when your friends go back to work. Southwest Florida's not in the national news cycle anymore. People are watching football games, and you don't even know where your TV swam off to. For the next 10 months, you won't recognize yourself. You don't return calls to your friends. You don't sing in the car on your way to work. In fact, you struggle every day to show up to work on time and somewhat showered. Overwhelmed is an understatement. You'll smile and laugh that you always wanted a new kitchen anyway. It's okay to tell people that silly lie while you figure out how to be a contractor.
Some days will be harder than others. You're going to be tired of being strong, but focus on the good and positive things. Your heart will break the most when it comes to your kids. You feel as you have to be their protector, and yet it's all gone. But they're so resilient. It's incredible. They inspire you.
Through the trials and tribulations, it will become abundantly clear to you that the essence of life lies in relationships we nurture, the moments we share, and the love we give and receive.
You'll develop new friendships, build closer ones with your neighbors. You'll find out how selfless your neighbor Craig is. You cannot do it alone, and you won't do it alone. You will have a house again, and it will be beautiful. You will sing in the car again, that same song of the week on repeat, and you will watch football again.
You and your family are healthy and alive, and that's the most important. Everything else will come with time. You would not change anything because this is your story, and everything that happens in life happens for a reason.
I believe in you, in us, in our family's ability to not only survive, but thrive in the face of adversity. Move forward with strength, compassion, and determination to rebuild your lives and create a brighter future.
The good news is that you will survive the hardest year of your life. The bad news is there will inevitably be another bad year of your life. But now you have found the patience and grit that your dad gave you for the next hurdle. Find comfort in the experience and the struggles. A life that does not feel all the emotions that life has to offer is one that has not lived.
has been 1 year since Hurricane Ian changed Fort Myers Beach forever. The iconic pier is still just pilings, a shell of what it once was, what we once knew, a landmark of this little beach town. But here too, beauty remains. Below, water like glass, and above, that cloud-swirled sky. It's what keeps us going, with such a long way yet to go.
Everyone would hope that the recovery is faster, but the reality is you have to remember what it was like a year ago.
Councilman Bill Veach does remember, won't ever forget. Buildings literally leveled to the sand.
It's an uneven recovery. There are some places that are up and running and other places that haven't even started.
And in the end, it is still here. Not how we remember it, no, will never be. But over time, the pier will be rebuilt, and the next chapter will take shape.
Times Square, you know, it's still going to be the heart of town. It's the beaches here, the pier will be here.
And most important of all, the people will be here on this very beach to make new memories and to reminisce about the old ones.
Think you might have found me my own kind of paradise.
Search your memories long enough and you'll start to hear it. The familiar sound of the place we call paradise. This comeback story is only just beginning.
I'm optimistic. I mean, it won't be what it was, but it's still got a beautiful beach. We still have a lot of gifts here, and you know, we'll get fresh blood in. I really hope that people stick around, that, you know, that are the lifeblood of this community. But it's a gorgeous island. It will be here.
From Fort Myers Beach, I'm Evan Dean for NBC2.